Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Dave's Faves. And today we are going to talk about Handel's Hercules. Da, 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 da. He's a superhero. Yeah, and this is a super piece of music. Now, in order to understand Hercules, we need to first understand what Hercules is, because Handel wrote it. It's in English, which, as an English speaker, I think is a good thing. Second of all, it is he wrote it during his oratorio phase, when he had given up operas. But he calls it a musical drama in 3 acts. Well, I got news for you. It's a bloody opera. It's an opera. But it's an opera that has elements of oratorio in that it has some choruses and things. And it was performed, without staging. It's really quite special in that respect. And it was part of a pair of English language operatorios, if you want to call them that were based on Greek subjects, the other being Semele. And Semele is another masterpiece, fabulous work. I could talk about that endlessly. I love this piece. I just love this piece. And the reason I love Hercules so much is because it contains Deianira's mad scene. And it's been staged, by the way, quite successfully. It's Marc Minkowski. This is the recording, by the way, with Marc Minkowski. And you'll notice that in the cover, you do not see Hercules. You see Deianira. And of course, there are operas called Deianira about her, because she's the character. She's the lead. She's the thing that matters, because she is the character sketch par excellence by Handel of a woman consumed by jealousy. It eats her from within. She's like an early Lady Macbeth figure. Lady Macbeth isn't jealous. She's just evil and plotting, but you know what I mean. But after she commits the murder, she's consumed by guilt. Well, that's the idea. It's the consumption character. And she is one of the great consumption characters in the history of all of music. She really is. It's really extraordinary. But we'll get to that in a minute. So, as I was saying, this is an operatorio. And it really, in a way, makes it more operatic for modern tastes because, the supposedly uninteresting sequence of da capo arias that feature in normal opera seria is here interrupted by other things, by a chorus, by different aria forms. And so it opens up the form a little bit, and that makes it eminently stageable and simply wonderful to listen to, whether you do it in concert or whether you do it all by yourself or whether you do it on stage as an operatic thing. It works no matter how you do it. It's indestructibly fabulous if you have wonderful singers. And this performance with Les Musiciens du Louvre under Marc Minkowski, who can be just unbelievably mindless and awful in music of any kind, is really good in this stuff. He really is. It's terrific. So the cast, you have a great cast. You've got Hercules is Guidon sax. And, the thing about Hercules in this thing is that he also gets some fabulous music. He's sort of like a big kid. He's completely faithful to his wife, Deianira, but he's big and blustery, and he's a hero, and everybody admires him. And so, of course, she's going to be jealous as hell, especially when he shows up from his latest conquest with Iole, the princess of Ocalia, or Ucalia, wherever that is. And that's Lynn Dawson, who's very sweet and very nice and absolutely just the ticket. She's a real looker to make Deianira absolutely insane with jealousy. And so the plot, right? Deianira gets she's jealous. And she wants Hercules to love her again. And so she takes his coat and she dips it in the blood of Nessus, the dying centaur, who Hercules has killed, because he tells her that it will make him love her again, which he already does anyway. But, what it really is poisoned, and it will make him die writhing in horrible agony, and Nessus will get his revenge, because that's how Hercules dies. And so, of course, that happens. But the cool thing about it also is that the whole thing is not just, Handel, let me put it to you this way. Handel could not avoid creating characters, believable flesh and blood characters. He really does. And Hercules, for all of his seeming bluster and insensitivity to what's going on with his wife, does get a fabulous death scene in which he writhes in agony and expires in a most moving way. And that's Handel. He seizes every opportunity to create really seriously wonderful, emotive music. But the highlight, of course, the highlight of any performance of Hercules, and here we have Anne-Sophie von Otter. And let me see, did I even tell about the rest of the, well, let's see, Lycus, a herald is David Daniels. Lycus. Remember the house of Marcus Lycus, and a funny thing happened on the way to the forum? And a priest of Jupiter is Marcos Pujol, but it doesn't make any difference because what matters is Gideon Sachs, who's quite good, and Richard Croft, who is Hylas, Hercules' son, and of course, Dejanira, who is Anne-Sophie von Otter, who is absolutely at her very, very best in this performance. She is absolutely marvelous. Fantastic. Now, there is another excellent Hercules. Actually, it's also, I think, on Archive here. It was with I think John Elliott Gardner was conducting, and I think Sarah Walker is, and also a very, very fine Dejanira, if that's who it was. I have it over here somewhere. I got to find it. But this is just great. And Anne-Sophie von Otter is, she is known as a very reliable singer who could be kind of a little bit on the cool side. And you do not want cool in Dejanira's mad scene. You want her to go mad. You want complete, total, absolute insanity. And I got to tell you, she really lets it rip. And it is wonderful. And she has the technique because, most mad scenes require lots of coloratura as the soprano screams herself into oblivion. And the words, oh my goodness. So often in these pieces, it's the libretto that just kills it. You've got just these stupid words, and this is a mad scene that's really a mad scene. I mean, the words are wonderful. First of all, she talks about being pursued by the Furies, and they have whips of snakes. They're snaky. I mean, have you ever heard of snaky as an adjective? The snaky whips they bear. Oh, it's just cool. And she wants to be lashed with tails of scorpions, too. Oh, God, it's like, whew. She has this horrible image of being pursued forever. And blackness and despair are following her everywhere as she sinks into madness. And the final line, which Handel sets with unbelievable power, it's, alas, no rest the guilty find from the pursuing furies of the mind. Yeah, I mean, it has psychology. You know what I mean? But it's just, I think that is one of the most resonant lines in all of opera, at least in English. No rest the guilty find from the pursuing furies of the mind. Think about that for a minute. And the music that Handel sets to that is, I mean, at one point it goes into a sort of rite of spring sort of thing. No rest the guilty find. From the pursuing furies of the mind. Ta-da! And not only is it like one of the greatest, mad scenes ever in a medium opera that is pretty good when it comes to mad scenes, it is not a da capo aria. It's actually billed as an accompanied recitative or an arioso for the most part because it actually has a form. It has a very, very clear form. But that form is completely determined by the structure of the words, the text, and by the dramatic situation in which it gets more and more mad as it goes. And oh, it's just wonderful. So I adore Hercules. This is my favorite performance of it. It is stunning, absolutely stunning. And if, Dejanira's mad scene gets done as a separate number all over the place. Joyce DiDonato is famous for Dejanira's mad scene. So, there's a great recording of it with her, but you can hear it separately. And you can see it on YouTube. There's a whole production of it where you can see the mad scene. It's one of those Regie Dirigent things. It has, the obligatory 33-gallon garbage drum with a fire in it and, a sandbox that she can play in. And it's just as ugly, as stupid as you can imagine. But you must hear Hercules. It's just so great. And if you're sort of hesitant about Baroque opera and whatnot, a wonderful sort of bridge from the oratorio stuff to the opera stuff is Semele and Hercules, or are Semele and Hercules, because they're right there with sort of the best of both worlds. Phenomenal works. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.